Welcome. I'm McKayla, a psychic medium and SMGI guide, and I am here today to talk to Gina Vance, who is the creator of Somatic Mindful Guided Imagery, which has changed my life and the life of so many that I have guided using this incredible modality, SMGI, Somatic Mindful Guided Imagery. And I want to talk a little bit about how Gina came into my life. It was maybe about 4 years ago, and I was doing a art walk with my daughter, and I had a little booth, and Gina walked up, and my whole body remembered her. And it was like, there you are. And I think we said that to each other. There you are. There you are. And it was just from that moment, you were family. And we did a session together, Akashic record reading, as our first real work together, I'd say, our magic together. And I remember seeing inside your records this thing, and it looked like a little earth inside an earth, right? It looked like a sphere of like a little globe, like a snow globe, but there was like a thing in it, a world, a world. And I remember being like, I don't know what this is I'm looking at, but it's everything. What is this? And you told me a little bit about it or you referenced it in the reading. I couldn't grok it, but I saw in there, this is everything. And I believe that to be true now more than I did even then. I feel the truth of it, and I've seen the truth of it, that this modality creates new realities so fast from this playful place that's fun and enjoyable to experience. And so I'd love you to introduce yourself in the way that you do and talk maybe a little bit first about how this modality, this magic, found its way into formation.
Thank you, Michelle. I remember having that experience with you. I didn't remember that detail. And it's funny. I love hearing what you make of that. And one of the ways that shows up in my life is that oftentimes I will tell people that I live in my own snow globe. I can see what's
Mm.
going on out there in the world, but I'm in here having a great life. And I'm not missing anything, but it feels good in here. I'm free to move around. This is my inner universe. It's got a nice thick layer, but I can see out and interact with others. So, yeah, thanks for sharing that. I hadn't remembered that. But SMGI, it's multi-layered, multifaceted. It's very simple, but if you read between the lines, there's a lot of richness there. And of course, it's very powerfully and profoundly transformative for all of us that experience it. But I have thought of myself for a long time as a mind-body mentor and inner journey guide. And I've been working with clients for about 25 years, but by around year 5, I had in place what is now called SMGI, Somatic Mindful Guided Imagery. And it incorporates the treasures that I found along the road of my initiation as I was in pain and suffering and trying to find my way out of it. And as I did, I encountered some magical beings that each had an important piece to offer me, that it was like water in the desert, and yet there were a few more pieces. And so now it's like, if we think of SMGI, it's like we can see the picture on the box now, and we can enter in through whichever one of those aspects that our soul calls us to. Our inner wisdom knows where we need to begin, and the process or protocol of SMGI creates a nice structure within which a soul can move.
Mhm.
As you said earlier, it to people since they don't have a reference.
Mhm.
And if we say it's hypnosis, there's one reference that's usually been dramatized, TV and movies. If we say guided imagery, okay, guided meditation. The best way that I can summarize it is in over 400 pages here. But if I put it in just a real brief sentence, you can think of it as a special kind of somatic parts work hypnosis that helps people work with the power in their subconscious to access their inner strengths and clear away what no longer serves them. We call it their inner clutter.
Mhm.
And to reconnect to the parts of them that are key to creating everything that you desire. And these parts can be suffering, they can be hidden, they can be separated, they can be latent, or they might be archetypes of power that you're ready to allow to merge with you now so that you can express those things at this phase of your life, where at a different phase, it wouldn't have been safe, helpful, or appropriate. So it's a way to access your own personal inner universe and all the magical powers and characters that we call allies that are there.
So sometimes when I say to clients, it's this magical, amazing, easeful, when I use language like the sentence you just said, the response I get is, that doesn't sound like it'll work, because they have this notion around working hard,
Hmm.
processing, understanding what happened, fixing it, healing to them comes with this arduous shadow work, all these things that if something is magical or uses imagination or uses an inner world, that sounds, too woo woo or whatever it is. So, what would you say is the reason around why it's so effective in such a short amount of time compared to some of the more traditional modalities? I personally had spent, 20 years in therapy, EMDR, EFT, all the things, all the things, all the things. And I only really ever got what I would call about 20% relief.
Hmm.
And then I did, well, my life already had changed within a 5-day retreat, SMGI retreat. But then after that, so much changed so quickly in 3 sessions and then 6 sessions. By 9 sessions, I feel like my entire internal landscape was completely different.
Hmm.
What do you make of that?
Well, that all the things that you did, that I did, that people do, none of it's wasted. It's all getting us ready to release and let go of what isn't working well enough for us.
Okay.
So we're getting, it's not just someone telling us, "Oh, you're only going to get 20%. Don't waste your time on that." No, we're getting direct experience. We're doing our own experiment, which creates a hunger in us to, and also a readiness to try something different, because with inner work, there's a universal fear.
Mhm.
So we need whatever amount of pain, frustration, whatever it is that we need, some drastic event in our life to help us to become receptive and willing to take the risk to journey inwards. Now, when you do that, it's the safest, most wonderful thing you can do, but we don't know that until we actually experience it ourselves. So everyone that says yes to journeying within is expressing a great deal of courage that has been developed through all of the arduous experience, all the hard working, all the understanding, all the things that we have tried that have brought some benefit, some that brought zero benefit. Maybe the benefit they brought was that that's ridiculous. I'm not going to incorporate that, right? So none of it is wasted. And when you talk about your experience, it sounds like a readiness. right? So in 9 sessions, your life was completely different, which it can happen in one session.
Right.
That's less often. Like I've had in 25 years, there have been two one-session miracles, but as long as it needs to take for a person, your inner world will get you ready. And so you'll access some strength, some power, and some freedom, which will make you ready then to access more. And so if you've done a lot of work, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to progress faster, because sometimes the mindset that it has to be hard and it has to involve a lot of work can slow things down. But it's okay. That's your experiment. That's your journey. That's what you're really learning the truth of in an intricate
Mhm.
way.
Mhm. Beautiful. So currently there's about 40 of us that are SMGI guides. Is that about about the right number?
Yeah.
Uh, I have a pretty good idea there's going to be thousands in a pretty short amount of time, because as this spreads, more what you call love workers will
Mhm.
say, I have to bring this to others. One of the pieces about for me as to why was I really wanted this as a complement to something I was already doing.
Mhm.
I was giving these, I do the Akashic record readings, and I kept hearing, and now what? And I wanted to give them the, and now what? And
Yeah.
the, and now what was from within them. It wasn't me telling them something. It wasn't me healing them. It wasn't me. It was saying, do you want to get in the driver's seat? Do you want to experience your own liberation that you came here for? This is the way in. And this is how we do it. And it's easy, and it's rich, and
Yeah.
it's so surprisingly enjoyable. And then what you get to experience in the outer world is different, easier, better. When people come back, I say, okay, let's talk about what you've experienced since your last session. The things I hear are, I can't even believe it, right? It always starts with that. I can't even believe it. I spoke to my mom for 45 minutes and I wasn't even wanting to kill her, whatever it is. One of the things I love in the back of the, towards the back of the book, is the pages and pages of people saying how they experience their life now. I love those pages. It's like, yeah, what happens? What did journeyers get? There's page after page of people saying what their new reality is. So, like, as I was saying, there's about 40 of us now that people can access. For me personally, I'm enjoying it more. I think I'm enjoying when clients from all over the world or from some other place are doing it right from the comfort of their favorite chair, with me in their ears, with their eye mask on. So to me, I think it works even better when they're in their own environment, experiencing their own healing in their own environment. I think recodes their homes where they've been ruminating and can't sleep for years, staring at the cracks in the ceiling. Now they get their own liberation right where they live. I love that. And of course, in person is beautiful too, for people to get to come be in this extraordinary, these beautiful places that we have where so much healing has happened.
Yeah.
This book now means something bigger. It means that for $17, people can start to experience something so incredible. I don't even think a book is the right word for this. This is like a portal.
Cool.
So I'd love to hear how you even created this book. I mean, it's story after story. You're breaking down in every chapter, taking them through what an actual SMGI session is.
Hmm.
But you're not saying that, but that's what it is. I was like, the entirety of SMGI is in here.
Hmm.
So how did you even come about, or how did you even write this? How long did this take? And what's the best you can imagine for how this book could really change humanity? I
Mm.
am very biased, but I really believe that this book can change humanity.
Yeah. And thank you for sharing your experience of where there's so many listed of just typical things that clients report,
Mhm.
because the editor thought that was excessive, and maybe we should really pare that down in the second edition. So, so we'll
No,
see how that goes.
I wanted more. I was like, let's keep going. I loved it. Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah. But it took a year, and I worked full time seeing clients. And so I just wrote on my days off. So by the end of the year, I was a bit shredded because I hadn't taken any days off. But it was for a good cause, and I'm recovering, and it's fine. Um, but I wrote it basically the same way that I work, and the same way that I even got the what pieces are SMGI, and that is I tuned in and I asked, just like in the book, there's the four essential steps,
Mhm.
right? Move your attention into your body, breathe, go to your right brain, ask for help. And so that's what I did. And so that's how I got an outline. And then it's like, okay, what goes in this chapter? And oftentimes my personality would ask, like, well, why are we putting this story in right here in this chapter at the beginning of this chapter? I don't get it. But okay, whatever. What's next? And then it would be when I got to the end of the chapter that I understood why that story was in there. So that's kind of the process. I don't necessarily recommend that. There are a lot easier ways to do it, but I was on a tear. It was time. And that's kind of, I'm in the human design uh, personality profiling system. I'm a projector, and when I get my invitation, then I'm ready
Mhm.
to knock it out. And so, and I felt a little bit of urgency of a timeline. So, um, what else what was the rest of your question?
What's the best you can imagine? Like
Ah,
what would be what as far as like what this can do in the hands of people
yeah,
who didn't have this notion, this.
yeah. So not necessarily SMGI, but the information that's in here, my intention is for it to be just common knowledge. So
Mhm.
now, maybe 20 years ago, the only people that had PTSD were military veterans. And now PTSD is a household word. Everybody knows that they've had some kind of trauma. So the consciousness has really changed there. So it's similar to when you give an Akashic reading and you tell people what you're connecting to, that they carry, and what's possible for them. If they just read through the book or even read parts of it,
Mhm.
then they're, in a sense, they are being given the gift of what's possible. This is what's possible. This is how you do it. This is the kind of results that it gets. And so there's that element. And then the exercises are real. I mean, we do those
Yes.
with our clients.
Yep.
And like the one story of Lynn in there where we only had 3 sessions, the paraplegic Lynn, we only had three
Mhm.
sessions. And, I just taught her, and she took that home, and she moved herself through the
Mhm.
exercises. And so that's entirely doable. I do it myself. So there's so many layers of possibility in the book for each person, wherever they're starting, whatever it is they're hungry for. If they want to have some personality types, they want an overarching understanding of, like, wait, what is this? And how does the process go? What results does it get? And what should I be worried about? And others, I don't care. I just want help. And
Mhm.
so they can dig in, they can just open a page. However a person uses it, uh, it is there as an ally to support them, to guide them, to point the way for them, to encourage them. And some of my favorite feedback has been very validating, because this was a huge intention for the book. When asked when I've asked readers what they've taken away, what their experience was, what they've taken away from reading the book, they say things like, I feel a great sense of relief for how I've reacted and responded and done things in the past. And now I own it as a source of pride and accomplishment. Yes, yes. Because every client that comes in to work with us, they may be, they're resistant to whatever pain or fear is interfering with their life. And as a guide, we have a little excited bit of glee because we know that that is the vehicle with which they can connect to their own soul, to their own power, to clear away what is no longer helpful, to bring in what is, and to change, to experience the transformation in their life. And in this day and age, as the consciousness has developed, the bossy type of programming people or reprogramming people or deprogramming people, that's just not as effective anymore because we want to do it ourselves. And it's a part of our spiritual maturity. If you think of a little kid, they want and need lots of help. But as they mature, they want to do it themselves. They want to
Mhm.
experience it. And they want to experience the triumph of having done it themselves. So that's some of where we are in the consciousness that
Right.
that has unfolded for us now.
I love at the end of sessions, one of the things we ask when they come out is, how are you feeling? And was there anything surprising or unexpected that happened?
Hmm.
And the answer is, I can't believe it. I can't believe what I saw. I can't believe who I was. I can't believe the comforting presence that came in. I can't believe what happened. People are just giddy with how easily they went in, even though we know they're inside of 90 seconds when we just say, move your attention inward, ta-da, just like that. There
Yep.
they are.
Hmm.
Even the ones that are like, you don't get it, it's not going to work on me, I'm super left brain, like, no, they just, it just is right there. That threshold is right there. It makes me cry every time I read this page.
Oh, I love that. Oh, that makes my heart just overflow with love.
It's the notion that, like, we came for this.
Mm.
This is an initiation. We came for this. Something didn't go wrong.
Oh, wow.
When clients walk in my door and they come for a reading, they say, help me make sense of this. I don't even know what you do. I don't know how you do it, but my friend said I need to talk to you to understand why this thing that went so wrong maybe isn't so wrong.
Mm.
And so we do a reading and I go, oh, look, you and that horrible parent, evil sister, terrible husband. Look, you guys planned all this. And you agreed you would come up out of the liberation and you would learn all these things and you would get this gorgeous opportunity to be set free and find who you are from within. And he agreed, even though it was going to be hard, he was going to play this horrible role, what we call the archetypal tyrant or protagonist. And it was going to be great. And then you get here and you're like, wait, this is awful, blah, 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 right? So I explained to them, this was by design. And they're like, that sounds amazing, but this feels awful in my body. So all of that may make sense to you from your little book in the sky, but this feels bad to me. So now what?
Hmm.
And I say, SMGI.
Yeah.
And so I read every page. And I love in the book when we got to 227 and it starts to tell these words in the way that I've been saying them in a completely different way.
I'm pretty sure our souls talk to each other in the ethers and offer to help each other out, pleasurably or in adversarial ways, whether we're consciously aware of it or not. The fun comes in the unfolding of the best laid plans of human souls. For better or worse, we are often initiated into the knowing of our souls through great trouble. As Carolyn Mesa, a religious scholar, tells us in her book, Why People Don't Heal and How They Can, she says, people discover their inner selves through trauma, isolation, or major challenges, moments that act as initiations. Your safety net must eventually fall away, pushing you to uncover the resources within. You aren't born with your inner self fully formed. It emerges through some kind of transformative passage. An initiation is the beginning of a new way of being. It's an introduction to becoming more of who you can be, moving into knowing more of who and what you are and what you are capable of. So that you get the most out of this life, you'll need to survive and surmount the perilous, painful, and arduous aspects of what you're being initiated into. Along the way, you'll experience colorful characters that'll help you move along your journey, changing you with each encounter. Some you might find buoying, others you may not even notice or might need to recover from.
And some of the extraordinary moments I'd love to talk about for a
Sure.
moment, and then I'd love to hear maybe some of yours.
Hmm.
A couple of places where different areas where I've seen this work be deeply profound is those who have physical things they're experiencing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, People who come in deep, debilitating pain, physical pain when they walk in or when we start a session. And through the entire journey, they feel no pain. I've had the gift of um, guiding people who are in end of life experiences and moments who are in a lot of pain. And in the sessions, even while they're in the journey, they're like, this place that I am walking on the beach or the other side of the sun or whatever it is, they're like, there's no pain here. There's no pain here. And they thought they were going to have to wait until they crossed over
Yeah.
to have that experience of no pain, absolute bliss, centeredness,
Mm-hmm.
freedom. And they got it just by going inward. And this notion that we are the sovereign authority of our inner world, where the rules are entirely different, and we get to say what stays and what goes, and the physiological response in the body so quickly of a beautiful, serene, calm yes, whether it's somebody who's in stage 4 cancer or somebody who's newly sober and can't stand the feeling of their bodies feel like they have no skin on, go inward and they're like, this is what it felt like when I was high, or whatever they were trying to accomplish in that what went south, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I love how this not only frees people from that level of pain while they're in the journey, but I have seen this physically heal, move people fully out of things they'd had for 15, 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
What do you make of that?
Well, I'm reminded of a client who told me, this is better than crystal meth without any of the downsides. Um, what I make of it is, what I have been stunned into learning over the last few decades is that human beings are miracle makers.
Yeah.
And things can be healed in an instant. And also, if it isn't healed in an instant, then there can be enough relief and support to keep dragging that leg,
Mhm.
so to speak, on the way to healing it, which will include a rich journey of experiences as you collect treasures along the way that your soul wants you to collect. That's one way I've come to respect a slow movement into change in some areas is that in my own case, if I'd gotten what I wanted out of pain instantly, then I never would have had all the rich experiences that helped me to do what my soul came here to do in this life.
Mhm.
And when I've journeyed to the end of this life to ask, what regrets will I have if I don't do what I came to do? What will that look like? What will that feel like? And for me, it was doing what's in this book,
Mm.
forgiving everybody for everything without, with honestly zero charge remaining, and gratitude and appreciation for the experiences that I got to have with all the bad actors,
Mhm.
with life, and and that I would be disappointed in myself if I hadn't accomplished that. Right? So it wasn't about money in the bank or inheritance for my daughter. It was that. That's what I came to
Mhm.
accomplish. And so I feel so grateful that 99.9% of that is accomplished. And and if I can do it, anybody can do it. I immersed fully into the human experience. And part of the purpose of that was to help my fellow humans remember
Right.
who they
Right.
are, what they're capable of. That it's not just a special guru floating down on a pillow
Right.
out of the
Right.
sky.
Right. 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 I want to segue from what you just shared. I wept and I loved that so quickly in the book. You put a story about your childhood
Mm,
that was extremely intense and, the worst of the worst as far as what, one could experience as a child. And I loved that you do this here because it's a new way that it's modeling a new way that we get to engage with what we've endured
mhm,
so that we can become who we're meant to be. And the honoring of the stories in here, this is held with such a ceremonial honoring of reading these stories and then looking at, and here's the tool I used in that moment in referencing the 9 instinctive responses.
mhm,
Um, so I often have people reference their story with a lot of shame or cringe, or I don't think it'll work. You don't know what I've experienced.
mhm.
And I say, well, would you be willing for us to just talk about it a little and I can share other people's experience and you can see if it feels like something that you'd like to try. And I've seen this work really change the lives of people no matter how extreme what
Yeah,
they've been through.
yeah.
And you mentioned the word forgiving.
Mm. Trigger
I
word.
I exactly right. I experienced deep freedom inside of this work that allowed me to no longer be bothered by bad behaviors that still present themselves occasionally here and there. And so when people say, but why did you even want to forgive that person? And I was like, I'm like, I say, for me, it's just that in carrying forward, the what I've experienced has changed as I've become this new version. And so there's no longer this tenderly
Mm,
connection and this trauma bond. So it's more that I feel like it's all dissolved, and in setting myself free, it set us free from one another. And it just feels complete.
yeah.
And when something feels complete, some might use the word forgiveness. For me, it's like, and it is done.
Mm-hmm.
Done. Ah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, beautiful. Yeah, it's a tainted word, and I was never a fan of it
Mm-hmm.
because I've always been a fan of authenticity and honesty and not faking or pretending or dishonoring.
Right.
And with this work, forgiveness, like relaxation sometimes, is a
Mm.
net effect.
Right.
Uh, we don't go for the forgiveness. That just happens.
Right.
You get yourself free. And besides becoming energetically untangled from others that isn't helping you or them, it also helps us to get free of the phantom versions of the various perpetrators of our life that we created to remind us to never forget so we would stay safe.
Mm.
And then when we get connected to enough safety in us, then we become ready to let go of those phantom monsters that we created, of the bad actors, and we can let those go. And now we're free, and we no longer have this kind of incessant vigilance against that monster or someone that might be similar. Sure, we can recognize them. We've been initiated. We've seen that. We've experienced that. Sometimes it was hard to believe until finally we realized, oh my gosh, wow, people can be like that. And yet, what was initially protective, creating a character in our inner world to carry around, to remind us to look out for that danger and never go back there again with anyone or anything, then when we no longer need it, we can get free of it and we could just let that person do their path.
I I reference this in SMGI as my brain used to say, remember what happened last time. And
Beautiful.
now it says, because of what happened last time, I'm now this, and I can trust the this for where I'm headed, regardless of who comes in behaving in what way. I now know that I am safe because of this other thing I experienced and now have moved through.
Beautiful.
I would love what you just referenced in the inner world. Is my favorite chapter in the book, which I think is chapter 8, and it's attach, and it's referencing the etheric plane conversation. Um, that part of SMGI is what really changed my life.
Mm.
Is when you said, well, you can just go in the inner world and talk to that person, or you get to go finish what wasn't complete. You get to go say what you couldn't say in the outer world because it's not safe or effective.
Mhm.
You can use the inner world to go have conversations, to go complete what you didn't get to have the ending, to do anything to bring it to what I call neutrality or 0 point field,
Mhm.
that completeness.
Yeah.
And because I have a lot of clients, women in particular, who come and say, you don't understand. I'm still co-parenting with this one who hurt me so deeply. I'm
Yeah.
still around him. I'll never be free. I will they say it over and over, I will never be free. I'm like, here's the thing. We have this really cool part of SMGI about how you can get free by using the inner world to change how you feel, what happened. So I'd love for you to talk a little bit about the etheric plane conversation, run
Mhm.
and change the end,
Mhm.
and a tool. One of the things I misunderstood was, until you were like, no, no, you get to do that there too, is that we can use the inner world that's just our personal universe to actually act things out that
Mhm.
we wouldn't do in the outer world,
Yeah.
and how that magics.
Ah, yeah. Well, many people may have heard of release letters, write it out, write what you're mad about, which isn't really a fun process because you're feeling those feelings and it's a little bit like screaming in your car or something. This is very focused. It's a way of, first of all, and most importantly, honoring what you experienced, honoring it. Nothing's going to be healed until it's honored. Maybe someone will prove me wrong one day, but as far as I know, it's not going to be healed. It's not going to be complete. It's not going to be finished. And so, when you in your inner world are, and if at home you can write this down or you can just speak it out, but if in your inner world you will call the perpetrator, the person that you have a beef with, up in front of you, and then just let yourself feel the feelings that are activated in your body in response to that character, and then let them move up and give them expression. You're doing several wonderful things. You're noticing it, you're acknowledging it, you're allowing it to be in your experience rather than shoved and hidden away somewhere
Mhm.
where it just builds up pressure. You're allowing it to move, which energy, emotions want to move. And then you're giving it expression. So now it's moving out of you. It's something that you didn't get to do before because it wasn't safe or appropriate. And so you had to hold that energy in. And the longer we hold it in, the more distorted it becomes. And then we get triggered with various seemingly random things. And your parts that suffered those experiences relative to that character, they're seeing you stand up for them and what they experienced. So
Mm-hmm.
your parts are trusting you more now. First of all, you're recognizing what I experienced. Now you're standing up for me. Oh, because our parts will work hard to get our attention to let us know they're suffering so we can come
Mm-hmm.
get them and get them into safety. So it's it's a really wonderful process to do with a guide because many of us, we value kindness
Mm-hmm.
and loving kindness. So it can be challenging for us to let ourselves be mean or hateful or rageful or childish, whatever. But it's not about being right or wrong. It's about the truth of your experience
Mm-hmm.
and honoring your experience and those feelings, those energies, those emotions that you've been holding, storing, and carrying, and that's made your parts suffer. It's like you're walking around as a haunted house, and all your parts are scared of the monsters in there. So, and here's the thing for people that are more metaphysical, this is not a psychic attack. You are not attacking the person in the outer world. This is, again, you facing the monster that you've created in your own inner world
Mm-hmm.
relative to that person and just authentically expressing your experience. And then when you're finished, when you can't find or feel anymore in there, then you eject them however you like, gently, harshly, whatever. And you can even do violence to them if that is what you're inspired to do. Remember, this is not the person in the outer world, which rarely ends well if you attack them in this way. They're going to
Mm-hmm.
be defensive, they're going to push it back on you. It'll be back and forth. But this is really between you and the version of that perpetrator that you've created in your inner world
Mm-hmm.
for good reason,
Right.
right? To keep yourself safe. So those are some of the really wonderful things about that exercise, which was inspired by alchemical hypnotherapy.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that they regularly do in their protocol.
I actually took this part of SMGI and created an offering that's self-paced. So it's something people can now go buy that takes them through the SMGI of going into the inner world to have this experience, this closure,
Mm-hmm.
because so many of my clients are women coming saying, how do I get free from this thing that ended 5 years ago?
Mm-hmm.
Why am I still cycling through?
Yeah.
And it's like, well, there's a lot of the reasons why, but here's the one way that you can bring it to its completion so that you can move on. As you said, if it's not honored,
Mm-hmm.
that initiation does not get completed and we stay in it
Mm-hmm.
until it does. And SMGI gives it this beautiful honoring of
Mm-hmm.
whatever is needed. I remember, before doing this SMGI for myself or being guided, because I agree this one I think is more helpful, whether it's a with a guide or with a friend who can do it with you, and with if it's the book you have or it's a recording or an offering, something like that. um, I really had to dig deep and say, what would it take, just using my wildest imagination,
Mm-hmm.
what would be the reciprocity for what I endured
Mm.
in order for me to be able to say, and it is done.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a very wild, bizarre, pretty big deal thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I went in my inner world and did this, it was about a 5-minute thing. And I just felt the completion. And
Yeah.
it was, you mentioned violence. It was using my imagination. And clients love this. I'm like, what would it take? What's the best you can imagine that this person, you would want them to do? Like, meaning whether the reciprocity is they then are in service of this type of women's shelter or whatever, opening them all over the country, managing, whatever it would take, just totally using your imagination of what's the most you could imagine for something to be complete.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a lovely thing for people to imagine when our brains are automatically imagining from the trauma related responses. The brain is going, oh, it's going to happen again, it's going to happen again, don't forget, right? And that's just, this is sort of a counterpoint to that in a beautiful way.
Yeah. Yeah.
What else would you say if someone were to pick up this book that's really at that point of like hopelessness or apathy, or what's the response, the one that's like, I'm done, what we reference as someone is, feeling like they don't want to be here anymore?
Which is a super common experience.
Yes.
Very common. And you and I have both lived that plenty.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, what comes to mind is that I've had worse experiences than I put in the book.
Hmm.
I've worked with worse, depending on how you
Right.
look at it. I've worked with clients that have had devastatingly things that if I put them in there, you would be traumatized. Um, and so it's an odd thing that it doesn't matter if you've had the worst anyone could ever imagine done to you. And if, okay, you had a great mom and a wonderful stepdad, but your dad died when you were 6 and you never saw him again, the trauma can affect you equally. So we can't really compare uh, what's worse and what's no big
Yep.
deal. And part of that reason is that, from my understanding, based on my experiences, we all have a soul history. So when we come into our mother's womb, we've already got unfinished business. Our family circumstances, yeah, stupid people do stupid shit, hurt people, and yet their primary role is to activate our unfinished business from our soul
Right.
history. So now we can be very consciously aware of it, put on our path, and then put a new ending on that.
Hmm.
This
Hmm.
life gets to be different. So maybe you got your head chopped off before, but in this lifetime, when your boss says heads are going to be rolling, it's like, no, I quit. And you walk away free or whatever. There are myriad of ways that these things can be run and then changed with a new ending on them. And the thing about experiencing a new ending in your inner world is that it's an actual felt experience in your biology, as if you've lived it. So that now is part of your new history. And for someone that is, and this is really common too, feeling like the world is so messed up, my life is not rewarding in any way. I want out of the pain, of the torment, the fear, whatever it is that's happening. And I've tried so many things and nothing's worked, nothing's going to work. Yeah, maybe. I've had people come to me. I've tried all these things, none of it's worked, and I'm sure this isn't going to work either. It's like, maybe not. Maybe not. It's your life. You get to take yourself out, or you get to if follow that little bit of nudge in you and be curious about this possibility that something could be different,
Hmm.
because it has been different for others. And that's part of the value of sharing my story, sharing stories of clients, because when we hear a story, there's a part of us that always puts ourselves in the story.
Hmm.
And so in that sense, it's a little bit of a trick because we get to already have a lived experience of what that could be like to have something painful, terrifying, and then experience triumph, victory, a sense of
Right.
ease and power. So, the main thing, and this is what we learn with SMGI, is not to resist that low state of I want out.
Hmm.
It makes total sense that you would. This world is troubled. And until the last decade or so, we haven't really had that many ways to bring ourselves into ease.
Right.
And now we're in the times where there are a plethora of ways. You can microdose. You can do heroic doses on medicine journeys.
Right.
You can do EMDR. You can do somatic experiencing. You can do IFS parts work. You can do all these wonderful things that really do move the needle.
Hmm.
So there's more help available now than there ever has been. And the main thing is not to try to convince anyone of anything, but just
Right.
to make the offer. Because that's one thing we learn with SMGI is the more we try to push something or convince, the more resistance it engenders.
Hmm.
So wherever someone is, there's good reasons that they're there based on their experiences. And they are a powerful, valiant soul who can change that. And this is how. So,
Right.
so that, that was one of the other purposes of the book. How? 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 Yeah, yeah, nice words. How?
Yeah.
It's
So
what I wished I had, but it's a
if
good thing I didn't.
somebody is in this, I just don't even have the energy to read an entire book. I'm so in such a dark place.
Yeah.
Where would you say what exercise or what chapter would be there? Like, just start with this and see how you feel.
What I'd really tell them is just open the book to a page and see what's there.
Beautiful. I love that.
Because that's the thing. I honestly don't know what the remedy is for you.
Sure. Yep.
I know how to help you access the remedy for you,
Mm.
but but really the starting point is the 4 essential steps.
Okay.
Just noticing the pain in your body.
Mhm.
right? The agony, the fear, the malaise, the suicidal urges, whatever it is, notice it without trying to change it, right? That's what we model, right?
Mhm.
We don't try to change it. And just acknowledge it. Yeah, it's there and allow it to be as it is. Many times that can bring enough relief to keep going.
Mhm.
And then breathe into your soft belly, right? Which will calm, settle, and stabilize your system somewhat and activate the right hemisphere of your brain where you can access the remedy for the moment, right? And then go to your right brain and ask for help. And whatever comes in that moment, just immerse your attention in that. And so our lives have been full of asking for help, 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 but we didn't know how to access it.
Right.
So we were kind of just like, help, help, instead of very consciously going within, notice,
Mhm.
acknowledge, allow, breathe, go to the right brain, and be receptive to what comes, immerse our attention in it. So it's a partnership. We
Mhm.
aren't infants laying there flailing. Help is available. And of course, I write about that in the book that I didn't seem to be any help available to me,
Right.
right? Until I later learned, oh, I see. Oh. And we really don't have time to waste. There's too much suffering in the world. We've all suffered long enough.
Yeah.
So, and also there's no harm in helping yourself between the right trouble for you. We all have to do hard things. And it doesn't mean you're never going to have a hard thing to do again. Someone you love might die. You might lose your job. You might leave a lover. Whatever it is, as your life unfolds, there will be hard things. But in the middle of those hard things can be you, more of you than ever has been before, who can experience it in ways that just increases love.
Mhm. That sentence prompts me to want to speak about this aspect of there's only love or fear.
Mhm.
How do you feel about that?
I feel that it's an oversimplification
Mhm.
that is kind of a holdover from the old parenting style and religion style where we're trying to train by fear. Like, if you're in fear, you're bad. If you're in love, you're good. So there's that unconscious element. But if one really explores that, it's all love. There is only love. Fear is a part of love. Fear for your life keeps you alive so that your soul can complete its experience. Fear for your loved ones can help you take actions to protect them, to keep them safe, to protect yourself, keep yourself safe. Fear is neither negative nor positive. Just as Carla McLaren's brilliant work shows, it's simply an emotion that helps us to recognize what's novel and to choose what action to take.
Mhm.
So anything that we demonize, we are using a lot of our energy to resist. And so if, for example, you're feeling afraid, if you will notice it, acknowledge it, and allow it to be as it is, and follow it to what it's connected to, then you'll be able to either clear the clutter or rescue the part that's experiencing that fear for a good reason and be relieved of the fear. Or if it's a clear and present danger, you will be able to take the action to keep yourself safe, your loved ones safe, your pet, your house, whatever it is. So there are a lot of oversimplistic uh, truisms floating around out there in the healing and spiritual world. And just like, I don't know if you noticed in the book, but I kind of poked a little bit of fun that all of the trauma responses have to start with F, right? So, a lot of times we're very communal, we're very tribal, and so, we use the words and we repeat things that our community does. And a lot of times we don't really think about it beyond that, right? We just accept it, which is kind of a precious part of human nature. And also, it can keep us stuck.
Yeah. You mentioned the tribal piece. One of the things that I love about being guided
Mm.
um, in SMGI is this sense of being held while I go in, this sense of being witnessed by the guide, this doing it. Like, I have felt so much gratitude and like just overflowing for at the end of each session for having been held by someone. And if someone wants more beyond the book, I'd love to talk about how they can get to one of the 40 of us
Hmm.
who are certified in this.
Yeah. Well, even if they don't have access to a guide or interest in that, one of the things that you can do that's talked about in the book is that you call in an ideal inner ally, a
Mhm.
comforting presence, and they will witness you. They will hold you.
Right.
Now, there is additional power with the presence of another human, even over Zoom, on the other
Yep.
sides of the world. Um, so now you're entering into ceremony.
Right.
And also, when you do share with your guide components, aspects of what you're experiencing in your inner world, and you continuously experience being treated as sacred, your experience is sacred, and have it be normalized, it is radically different than any relationship that we've ever
Mhm.
had.
Mhm.
Because even the kindest, most compassionate friends or therapists are helping us with solutions.
Right.
I'll think about it this way. Well, what if you do that? And so this experience of being held and just simply being guided, being witnessed, and you claiming, naming your experience without having it being diminished in any way. That's pretty radical in the most gentle, spacious kind of way. So there's an experience of safety with another that you can, and it's not about the other person being safe, but that you can trust yourself to be safe with another person and to share intimate aspects of your experience to the degree that you're comfortable with another person and not suffer any judgment, scorn, ridicule, etc. So you can move yourself through these steps on your own, absolutely. And it's easier and more powerful when you're guided,
Mhm.
right? I don't know all the reasons, but the energy does seem to be amplified and the access seems a lot easier. Especially if you've been guided several times, it's easier to walk yourself through the steps. You're familiar, your systems are familiar. So, yeah, how you can find a guide is just to go to the SMGI website, Somatic Mindful Guided Imagery.com, and there's a practitioners page. And there are listed many guides they've completed their training, they're fully certified, and there are others as well that are still in the process of completing their training. And you can still get excellent work with them. Uh, Oftentimes, they're less budget intensive because they're still moving
Mhm.
through their training. So there is a personality and an energy
Mhm.
constellation within that person
Yeah.
for everyone. And so on that page, you can just kind of feel into your own body who resonates for you. And you can always call them and have a chat and see how it feels in
Right.
your body.
And I believe most likely every one of those practitioners came to be a guide because of having had such a deep experience by doing the work, and then they decided to become guides. That was true for me. I know it's true for pretty much all of the guides I'm thinking about in my head. That was true, that they first had the life-changing experience and then they became guides from that point.
That's true for most of them. I'm thinking of one, Melissa, who had never had an experience of SMGI. She just, when she saw it was available, she knew in her body that
Yep.
that was right for her. And so I imagine as it grows that that will be the case for more people. They'll feel a resonance, and I encourage them to experience it because then they'll know for sure,
Right.
and then they can get trained in it, whether they want to bring it into the work that they're doing
Hmm.
or offer it alongside. And sometimes people in the training just come through the training for their own personal
Right.
expansion.
Yeah. Um, One of the things that I was particularly excited about in regards to the training was that it was 6 months,
Hmm.
that the I could still have my full-time business. And while I was getting certified, that it wasn't a 2-year program. It was so uh, immersive in the amount of um, what you put into the teaching, what's available, all of the content, it's unbelievable the amount of material that you put into uh, the container for people to learn from. It's amazing, but the fact that it can be completed and you can have your certification inside of 6 months and start using those tools right away, for me was a necessity. I had to continue working full time and parenting, and still needed. I really wanted this, and so it was the way that it's set up makes it so that one can get this certification
Hmm.
regardless of what your uh, current life looks like. Um, I also love how the guides, what their life experience is, what their personality is, what their magic is, does really play into the benefits. So going and finding on the website, ooh, the way they talk about this, or the way they reference. I think the guides, if I'm not mistaken, actually on the website also say the type of clientele or the type of, I think it's even listed there, isn't it? Of like, here's who I really love to work with, or here's where my impact is the biggest in regards to, even though the modality is the same, we do each have, you know, no doubt in my mind, soul contracts with everyone we do this work with. That's my experience. So there's something there that's meant to be there of the connection between you and the guide.
Yeah.
And what does the training, the 6 months, it's still set up that way? I'm imagining it starts every year around March still.
Mid-March. Mid-March,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
Mid-March through mid-September.
Okay. And is it still the same as when I did it, where it's you meet once a week for 3 hours and then the rest is self-paced over Zoom?
Hmm. That's
Okay.
right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so practitioners all over the world. Um, yeah, we pick a day, and usually it depends on who's in attendance. This last year we had someone in Australia and someone in Austria. So in Australia it was 5:30 a.m. and in Austria it was 9:30 p.m.
Hmm.
Right. So we set the time where both of them, it wasn't too early, too late. Um,
Right.
but yeah, we spend 2.5 or 3 hours together each week for 6 months, 27 times, 27 sessions. And you have maybe 3 hours of video lectures between our meetings.
Hmm.
And then we have rich experience together in our live sessions. And then the students will trade with each other. They'll trade sessions with each other, giving and receiving.
Mhm.
Yeah. And of course, depending on your learning style, you can be ready to hit the ground running at the end of the 6 months. Um, some people, it's a confidence factor. They're not as
Mhm.
confident or entrepreneurial, and they don't already have something going. So they're welcome to come back again as many times as
Mhm.
they like for
Right.
hardly any cost.
Yeah.
So it's set up to give you everything that you need in those 6 months. And there is a lot of information, not all of it is required. And
Definitely. Yeah.
yet it's background, it's nuance, it's in case, just
Mhm.
in case this anomaly shows up. Here's how you can look at that, how you can handle that. So, yeah, the training is pretty simple, pretty easy. It's not academic,
Right.
right? So, even the quizzes that we have, it's really to review the information to help you
Mhm.
remember. But it's not academically rigorous. But you are held to a standard of responsibility as a guide
Right.
um, to really learn SMGI so you know how it's different than other more challenging modalities that tend to be more challenging.
Mhm.
Uh, because if you kind of mix them, it can dilute the effectiveness.
Right.
Even though you can incorporate elements of SMGI into any work that you're doing.
I would love to move into the idea of the grand clamoring, meaning the why now? Why now is the world ready, willing, and able?
Yeah, I don't know all the reasons why. What I do know is that when I was despairing and praying, "Ah, what's it all for?" I was shown time and time again that there was a grand clamoring coming,
Mhm.
where there were going to be so many more people looking for healing and so many more practitioners available to offer them healing in a variety of ways. And so I've seen that come to be over the last 15 years. I've seen it happen. And here we are, and we're right in the middle of it. There's more for everybody. It's easier access. Some of my clients have told me that they're using Chat GPT as a psychotherapist. And the Chat GPT is so warm and judgment. So, whether it's human, whether it's AI,
Mhm.
there's just so much more available now.
Right.
And for whatever the reasons are, I don't know, the stars, the moon,
Mhm.
whatever it is, um, the consciousness is different. People are more open and receptive and willing.
Right.
So that's great because there's plenty of work for all of us, and there's plenty of us for all those seeking work.
Right. Yeah. One of the I'm going around telling, all of my clients, I'm like, yeah, you have to have the book. You've done the work, you've actually done the sessions, and you're like, I don't even know what it is we're doing, but it's great. I'm like,
Yeah,
this will have it make sense.
yeah,
Um, One of the sort of little couple sentences I say to people when they get this is I say, open to any page. It's the exact right page for you,
love it.
like an oracle deck.
Mhm.
Put it next to your bed while you sleep or under your bed. You will be changed just by being in the presence of the book. Or, in the beginning, it shows those nine um, instinctive responses we have. If one feels like something you resonate to, that's the chapter for you.
Beautiful.
Um, and it's the book is such an experiential thing. There's so much richness here that it doesn't feel like I believe with every story, there is some part of us that gets a little more open to, yeah, life is hard. and then you can fly, right? It's just this idea for a lot of people that that is real or can be true. And here's a path to that being more true. One page, one paragraph, one story, one exercise uh, is the way through, as
Yeah.
fast or as slow as you want it to be.
And we don't have to convince anyone. We just get to live the changes
Right.
that we've experienced.
Yeah.
And they'll feel the truth of that in our energy. And the more of us do that, the more that's in the collective consciousness for people to tap into and know the truth of. And
Right.
and then they'll be guided, whether they're Googling or whatever.
Right.
But you talk about the book being so experiential. What was your experience with it, Michelle?
Um, I work a lot. I work with a lot of clients one-on-one, and when they come in, there's such a heaviness to them. And when they leave, there's such a lightness to them, whether it's in a reading or doing SMGI. And as I read every story, I felt lighter
Hmm.
in the richness. Like the book to me just is alchemy. It's the perfect example of alchemy, of we come in one way and we leave another.
Hmm.
And I love that that's so true. And my experience as I read every page, I mean, because I'm so immersed in this work, I love reading and having an experience of it outside of what my experience of it is.
Yeah.
That's super rich to me. But reading these different people's stories, I'm like, feel so much love for the human.
Hmm. I'm so glad you do because that's definitely my experience when I'm working with them.
Yeah. So on every page, I feel myself welling up with love for
Hmm.
the stories, the people, the healing, what they went through originally, all of it, just the human experience.
Hmm. Yeah.
So that to me feels like what's held here is we are okay. We are all okay.
Hmm. Hmm. Thank you.
And I love that it's so your voice. It's so you. Every page is so you. It's like I laugh at every page. I'm like, there's Gina right there. Like the your the way you wrap yourself around it everywhere feels like a really big gift too.
Hmm. Hmm. Wow.
So even just little things like this woman does this, go look her up. Right? Like it's so you. You're just talking in the book. Go, like it's awesome. So yeah,
I want all good things for you.
right. Yeah. So I'm gonna now go look up a bunch of people that are listed in the back of like, ooh, I need that. So
Hmm.
thank you for this. I've been, you said it's taken a year to write it. Because I've heard you talk about this book for years.
Mhm.
This book has been in your field for many, many years,
Yeah.
and I'm so grateful that it's now here. And I look forward to the ripples out.
So do
Wow. Yeah.
I.
Yeah.
I'm grateful it's here. I'm relieved. I feel like I kept a promise. I did it. It's
Right.
done. And now the being that is the book gets to have its own magical life and it's kind of like a client that I get to watch it flutter here and there and have
Right. Right.
rich
Right.
experiences. And I love hearing the feedback from people about their experience with the book.
Right.
Some people say, "Oh gosh, it was harsh and jarring at first," and then it just kind of shifted into seeing everything through the lens of love. So I
Right.
thought, okay, good, great.
Maybe like those last, those handful of pages here of people's experience with SMGI, maybe there can be some place somewhere that we all can go put our couple sentences of how the book impacted us.
That's a great idea.
I would love to read that.
Okay, will do.
All right, let's make that happen. Okay. Thank you, Gina. Thank you for the book. Thank you for the
My pleasure, Michelle. Thank you for coming to the planet.
book.
Thank you for living
Yeah.
all the adventures that you lived and suffering, all
Yeah.
the suffering that you suffered, and for alchemizing it and sharing it forward, supporting others to do the same.
Yeah.
It makes my heart rest easy knowing that you are there doing what you're doing. And I want to support you however I can.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Yes, we get to do it together.
Yeah.
All
Yeah.
right. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.